Remember, guys, at least Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have a fucking reserve list. Iconic Masters, my asshole. So, this video is going to be relating to Magic the Gathering players and Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been starting to notice a little bit of a turmoil going on in the Magic the Gathering community, and I think this is very important for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community to hear. So if you guys are thinking that this is going to be a video that you want to click off of, don't. I want to put an extra strong emphasis on that this is going to be, I hope, some good quality content for you guys in terms of a discussion. So once again, you know, everyone that's been supporting me on Patreon, obviously thank you guys. We've been getting through the YouTube struggle of lower monetization. I'm sure every channel is being impacted by it, but I'm really glad you guys are supporting me. So you guys really want to know what's ticking in my head. Right now I'm severely tired. I've been seeing Rudy Alpha Investments. I've been seeing MTG headquarters on my sub list talking about this set coming out later this year called Iconic Masters. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Magic the Gathering in terms of the collector market, I think it's very important that you need to understand they have something called a reserve list. Hasbro, which is actually owns Wizards, if you guys didn't know that, there's a list of certain cards that essentially they have promised their community not to be reprinted. And everyone is freaking out with some of the more spontaneous things that Wizards has done. Literally the quote-unquote money grab cards that Magic the Gathering has been experiencing lately. And I don't know whether or not this has been because of a change of management. I know Magic the Gathering Online has been experiencing a lot of changes. A lot of the player base hasn't been necessarily happy by what is going on in their community. And I think it's, being a Yu-Gi-Oh player, I think it's very important to be educated on what's going on in another community. And for a community that has been has actually went out of their way and made a list of cards, and players actually think that that company is going to quote-unquote break their rule, it's a little bit disheartening. Now, the Yu-Gi-Oh community has never experienced anything like a reserve list, and this was something I was going to say for another video to discuss if we had a list. But Yu-Gi-Oh cards are constantly reprinted, and that's definitely something that I think our community takes for regret. Much like the Magic community sees term a goif every other fucking reprint set, it seems. You know, oh, you got a goif, oh, you got a goif, haha, everybody got goif, you know. But when the collectors in a community that is much bigger than Yu-Gi-Oh are threatened by the actions of their company, it is important to look at our game and go, are we threatened? You know, the only real things in the Yu-Gi-Oh community that hold any value to collectors are the prize cards. You know, look at the Shonen Jump prize cards. They've started to gain actual value. And if you look back at a lot of the secondary market as of late, there have been a lot of cards that have been bought up. A lot of old Ultimate Rares, GBI God sets. Prize cards are disappearing off the market. The Worlds cards are going into the hands of the people that have money because they're quote-unquote safe investments. You know, these are going to be cards that, because of their original value and what they are, they're not going to get reprinted. And in a way, you know, those cards are our reserve list. You know, they're the things that, I don't know who the fuck is investing in Yu-Gi-Oh as a whole in terms of certain things, but you know these are going to be things that aren't going to deplete in value. You know, look at Super Book of Moon, for example. That card is still holding so much value. Here, I'm going to show you guys something. So this is something that I've had for years. This is the Firewing Pegasus, still sealed, something I collected a very long time ago. The Kanan from the Toys R Us event. I do not miss the Dark Witch, which doesn't really mean as much. Same thing with the Chimera. It's not super iconic for what it is, but these two up here are more relatable to our player base, because this was a winning card that was issued to people that won a Toys R Us event. Now, you fucking tell me that Yu-Gi-Oh! And Toys R Us had an event in this day and age, I would look at you like you were the fucking lying sack of shit. And then the Firewing Pegasus. I don't remember the story for this. I know that these were pretty rare before the reprint. Other iconic things in this set are the TP8 Feather Duster. Those things are pushing 150. TP2 Morphing Jars are pushing 500. 10 years ago, these were all cards that were actually very accessible in our community, and they've all gone up in price because they're aging. Now, on the exact flip side of this, the Magic the Gathering community has been spoiled by this reserve list. People have made investments, and when the potential time comes for the company to go, it's been 25 years, guys. People want their chance to get these because they're part of the legacy of the company. Now, that time won't come with the additions of these cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, Yu-Gi-Oh! is a little bit more interesting to me, because you take a look at TP8 Feather Duster. There are like 6 different versions of Feather Duster, but the one version that holds the most value is that one. I've been seeing people wanting super versions of the video game promos in English, and I think it was the Feather Duster and the Sinister Serpent has been requested by a lot of the community as of late, and some people are paying $200 to $300 for those because of how rare they're. Same thing with the Blizzard Dragon promos. Blizzard Dragon Super Rares used to be worth a lot of money, and if you look at today's day and age, they're still worth a lot, but not as much as they once were. And once again, TP2 Morphing Jar, excellent example. They used to be 200, 300. It was a good solid card that you knew that you could invest the money into and not have to worry about it losing value. And I think it's a lot of the thing that our player base is doing now. Our player base is definitely in a very crunchy period at the moment, to where people are literally just buying up things that are quote-unquote safe investments. And I don't disagree with that. I think it's very good in our community that people are liquidating things. Yes, they're indirectly shortening the product that's available. If you want something, I recommend that you grab it while you have the chance. You're only going to be punishing yourself in the long run if you don't actually reach out and get some sort of card that you've been actually looking for. And this really applies to a lot of the collector's things. I sold my GBI gods a long time ago because I had bills to pay for. I wasn't as well off as where I am now, and I kind of regret that. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying selling a piece of your collection, but some days at the end of the road you got to do what you have to do. I sold my DDS original set, the Blue Eyes the Dark Magician. Now the Blue Eyes has actually gone down in price. There was that very, very hype thing where players were wanting to invest in DDS cards. That hype has calmed down a little bit. People have branched out into other things. But because of this fear tactic, I think players looking at the Magic community come here and they're like, oh, fuck Yu-Gi-Oh, but we definitely have a lot of our equivalencies. And the important thing I wanted, the connection I'm trying to make here is, while Magic has its reserve list, and why those players have been told in writing until X date that these cards are going to be unaffected, I think it's very important that a lot of our player base understand that in our own way, if you are looking at very, very, very old cards, there are a lot of good investments in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't think a lot of people think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game that you should be investing in. I wholeheartedly agree. Fuck that shit. But, there's a lot of cool things in this game, in terms of collectability that exist. I've been through 2 Worlds cards. I know how cool they are. I've had the Emperor of Lightning, had the Pit Boss. You guys look back on the history of this channel, feel free to. The videos of them exist. There's proof of them. Those cards rank in the thousands of dollars. Some of them might even be pushing 4 to 5 now. It's very important to realize that these cards will not get the reprint. Some cards will get reprints. Other cards are going to hold a much higher price tag than others. And in our own way, the rarities in select sets, they are our reserve list. So to all the Magic the Gathering community right now that's freaking out about potential cards getting reprints, it sucks to suck. And I don't mean that in any disrespect towards you guys. It typically seems with things like this that, yeah, it sucks that you have a lot of invested in those cards. And I definitely think in the short-sightedness that those will make value go down. But if this reprint is a once in a 25-year mark, I think that you're definitely not looking at the long run here. If you see it as these cards are going into circulation again, then after a few years those quantities will be removed and they'll start to go back up in price. I view it as just a repatenting of the community, recirculating a few of these copies for the newer generations to get. I understand that a lot of the older generation that has been there feels that a lot of the newer generation should have to pay for a lot of the older things that exist in the community. I don't disagree with that mentality. However, as a company that has been around for as long as Wizards has, maybe the people there that have recently gone into the company that don't have those things want to circulate them for the betterment of their company. You know, just because you're walking into the room and something was in writing doesn't mean you don't have the power to overturn it. And like I said, I know that that could break the player trust and the loyalty of the players, because it's what's really made Magic the Gathering what they are. And you know, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have anything like that. Probably a good thing that we don't, because some of those things would be ridiculous, but the high rarity alternatives on the older cards is honestly really the equivalent to that. So just a lot going on at the moment. But what do you guys think? What do you think about the reserve list of Magic? Do you think that Wizards is going down a very dark path? Do you feel that what we discussed in this applies to Yu-Gi-Oh? Leave a comment down below. Obviously, I didn't get to go to the Amonkhet sneak preview today. I probably should have. Was up all night, but you know, doing big boy stuff. Alright guys, solemn guy and his bitches. That's not all, folks. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Please check out my Cardfight Vanguard channel, VanCole40. You guys will get an insight on our playtesting sessions. And please check out the Zodiac Duelist TV Twitch stream. That way you guys can follow the House of Champions and MCole40 interactions. Please check out MCole Games for all of your guys' trading card game needs. And if you guys enjoyed this content, please check out my Patreon in the description. Every bit helps to the creation of these videos. One step at a time in improvement, and that's the goal of this channel. Alright guys, have a good time, and thanks for watching.